My mind is absolutely blown. I just watched someone make over $1.2 million in a single day. That is astounding. So this guy, he invited me to his wife's event, and he wants my skill set to do something for him, but we were just at his wife's business event, and I was like, "Oh, what? She's a little cute business." And I'm not going to go over it because the guy is kind of famous and a lot of people would know who his wife may be, and I'm not going to expose how much money she's making, but I'm going to go over the business plan that they had. So it was first to get people to this conference, which was, I don't know, I think like $2,000 to $3,000 per person. And that alone, yeah, there was 70 people there. And I was like, oh, that's not a great turnout. I don't really know what that means. But let me go over the sales psychology of the presenters and of the presentations that I was listening to, and then the pitch at the end, and then the conversions as to how that goes into it. But let's go over the psychology before I get to how they made the $1.2 million in a singular fucking day. I mean, that round of applause for that. That is amazing. But basically, there was two people who run this, and they were going back and forth speaking. And what they were doing was they were giving as much value as possible. And it was actually a ton of value. Just going to that conference, I was realizing, holy smokes, this is an incredible opportunity. They're going through the numbers, everything. As a rational human being coming to my own conclusions, there was a very, very good presentation. But during the presentation, while they kept on giving this free value, they would pose different problems and different questions into the viewers' hands, basically saying this is not easy. There's a ton of complexities into this. And a part of it was raising capital to allow them to fund the type of projects that they were actually doing. And they said one of the main things that your investors are going to be looking for is the team that's behind you, especially if this is your first time doing this. You need to make sure that you have a great team that you can show your investors that have done this before. But they were never saying that is them. All they were doing is planting the seed inside the brain of the viewers or of the people in the audience that they need to make sure they have a good team of people who have done this. And then they show the complexities of all the things that can go wrong. But in between all of the complexities, they're showing examples of prior students of theirs, never saying that they paid any money, but just people who had went to these conferences and learned from them had these massive successes. But when they were going over the successes of that's basically building social proof and showing people that have worked or showing that your business model have worked for other people in the past, they show the problems that person, let's say this person who did succeed, that they arose from, and then how they actually helped them fix that problem. And they were very big problems. And if I was in that position, I would not know what to do. And I would want someone like this third party entity to be able to help me. So they are actually solving a very good business model for the type of business that they are in. It is really just they are providing a ton of value, which is why they can charge so much. But before I go into the numbers, the psychology is so important because you can have the best business of all time, but if you can't get people to buy it, you will never know what's going on. So throughout these presentations, they're giving you as much value as possible. I mean, a ton of value to where you can do all of this on your own, but at the same time, psychologically showing you that they have the solution to the problems that you're going to arise. And then they are also breaking down the archetypes of people who might not be interested in investing, but never even saying they have a product. Basically saying, if you are the type of person who's going to be in this business, you have to be an action taker. The fact that you're in this room right now proves that you are. He said, but when you go back to your house this weekend and it's Monday and you're sitting on your desk and you realize, I was all pumped up this weekend, but I don't know where the hell to start, you're going to need some sort of help. During this time, guys, they were never saying that we have the solution. All they're doing is showing the problems that they're going to have and then that there is a solution out there or what the solution is, but not saying it's them. They're just planting that seed in the brain. And they do these incredible presentations showing the missing piece that they are going to have is them without ever saying it's them. But you are alluding that to the fact to where they're coming to the conclusion of, oh my God, they're showing me all these problems that I didn't even know we're going to encounter, but they are going to encounter, and they know how to fix them. I wish I could just have them do it for me, is basically the thought that they are providing into the brains of the people in the audience. And they're showing how much work and all the special types of problems that go into doing this, and that you need somebody that has done it before many, many times to help you walk your hand and guide you through it. Then they read this quote, which was, do you have a fear of heights? And it was, I'm not afraid of heights, I'm afraid of the edge. Then they said, people on the edge what happens is I'm not being coached enough through what needs to be done. And they were basically saying the people in the audience right now are on the edge. And when you get back home on Monday, you are going to get comfortable again and you are not going to want to put in the time and effort. You need someone who's going to kick you in the butt and make sure you get this done. And that is guiding you through the problem that actually has the parachute and has done this before. And then before they give a sales pitch, before they even said they had any sort of product, that they said the presentation is now over. We are going to have all these drinks. We're going to have all this food. We're all going to have a great time. If you want to, you can go enjoy that. For the people who want to or who are still interested and want to find out more as to how we can solve a lot of these problems for you. And if you want to work with our team that you've come to know, like, and trust throughout this weekend and everything that you know that we can provide for you, I have a 10-minute little pitch as to what we provide if you are interested. If not, absolutely no worries. You can go get your drinks absolutely on the house. And so they gave you the option. And I was expecting a few people to leave, honestly, because I was like, okay, they basically said the presentation's over. They were very clear that they were not going to be giving any more value, that the only thing left was a sales pitch. And they were very honest about that. Not a single person left. And I was shocked. I thought for sure people were going to leave. But because they nurtured them so much, no one left. And the sales pitch had two different tiers. The first tier was $30,000. The second tier was $60,000. And that's a ton of money. But before they ever said the price of these products, they were just shoving the value that they were going to get. And they were selling the hole in the wall and not the hammer, which basically just means you are selling the final outcome and not the process. And they said, even though it's going to be hard, we're going to be walking you through everything. And they're just stacking so much value to where you think, oh my God, the value that I would be getting for this and the returns that I would be getting on my money are so much more than this $30,000 or $60,000 that I would be stupid saying no. And that's why it's always a value problem. If I were going to, let's say, sell you $1 million for 100,000, every single person would find a way to get $100,000 because I was selling you $1 million, 90% off. So you would find a way to get your hands on that money when you see that the value and the actual what you are going to get in return is so much more. So they were basically just showing insane amounts of value. And then what they did for the gold tier, they said instead of $30,000, at first they said I think like 25,000, and then they went on to a value stack. This is just the Russell Brunson value stack, but I think they did it a hell of a lot better. And eventually it was $20,000 one time this weekend only. Then they did the same thing. They went from 60,000 for the top tier product down to 34, but again, for the one weekend only. And again, it was for action takers only because they said we are not going to be able to work with people who are not going to take the first step. And if you are not willing to take the first step, this is not for you because you would not be the type of person who's going to succeed in this business. And so they're doing all these psychological things that a lot of salespeople do. And so then what they did, they added a tonight on bonus, a tonight only bonus, to where instead of if they book it today or tomorrow throughout the weekend, if they book it tonight only, they didn't reduce the price anymore. The price for the top tier product was still $34,000 and the price for the bottom one was still $20,000, but they added additional value that no one else would get. So if you bought this tomorrow, you would not get the exact same benefit as you would today. So you added like literally $50,000 more worth of value if you buy right now as opposed to any other time. So it went from $60,000 to $30,000, but you were getting 10 times more value if you buy right now than any other time. But it wasn't a price reduction. It was adding an additional bonus to the current price that you would otherwise not be able to obtain. And so I was like, oh my God. I mean, the sales pitch was incredible because none of it seemed salesy. It was really just, I have the solution to your problem. Here's how we're going to fix it. And I don't think I did a great job explaining this because I was explaining it from the point of view of I was studying how they were selling from the psychological aspects. But none of the pitches seemed like selling. It was the most genuine, just, hey guys, these are the problems. These are the solutions. Here's how we can fix it. But this is what it's going to cost. And it was a very genuine transaction. And then I asked the guy who invited me, what percent of the room are you guys going to close? Thinking he was going to say like 5%. He said they usually close between 50 to 60%. So they had 70 people in the room who paid for this. If they close 60%, if they close 50 to 60%, that's $1.2 million frickin' dollars. That is astounding. On 70 people, that is the best closing rate I have ever seen in my entire life, and hands down. I've done events with people where you're hoping for a 10% closing rate. hoping for a 10% closing rate, hoping for a 5% closing rate on a product that is 1/10 of the price as that. It is incredible. I mean, if I wish that I could have recorded that and posted it, and then you guys would have wanted to buy this damn product too. And it's just studying the salesmanship that they had. It is a complete art. It is one of the best arts I've ever seen. If you guys have never sold high ticket products before, or just think about it, a product that's, let's say, $30,000 to close 50 to 60% of the room, my God, I mean, that is remarkable. So they do 8 of these events per year, and this was the smallest one that they were going to do. So they are crushing it. They are absolutely crushing it. And I'm going to try and incorporate a lot of the same things that they were doing into different sales pitches that I help other people make in the future. But it's not that easy because they have been doing this for decades, and was the most impactful sales pitch I've ever seen in my entire life. The reason why I say that is because it never felt like a sales pitch. That's kind of the key. You have to make it as genuine as possible. And if you have a great product that solves and has a ton of value, it's really not selling. Because again, if you're selling $1 million for 100,000,